The Successors War Mod for Rome 2 has just released, and this mod focuses on the era of the Diadochi. That's essentially what this mod is. It's the ancient Greek version of Game of Thrones. Alexander the Great has already passed into the afterlife, and now his generals squabble for petty scraps of the massive empire that once stretched from the shores of Asia Minor to the borders of India. You get to decide the fate of this era. Who will you choose? As for Ptolemy in Egypt, will you establish a new Greco-Egyptian Empire, or will you play as ambitious Antiginous, whose brutality stirs fear into the hearts of the other leaders? Or will you play Seleucus and build a mighty Seleucid Empire? Or will you decide the fate of the Gauls, the Germanic tribes, or Rome itself? It goes without saying, there is no one path. In this video, you'll be getting an overview of the mod, and I will convince you why you need to play this mod in a very pivotal moment of history. One of the great things about this mod is that it uses the Imperator map, and the Imperator map is perhaps one of the more expansive campaign maps you will ever get. It gives you greater freedom towards using more factions, and you can also experience the Samnite Wars if you were to play the Italians. Now, when I have played the campaign, I've had a fantastic time. It literally makes me feel as if I'm in the era of the Diadochi. You know, you have historically accurate families, you have more regional names, you've got 14 new factions, including 16 more playable factions, which I will go through. And the campaign itself is 4 turns per year, though I would rather prefer a 12 turns per year submod. And obviously, the vanilla edicts have been tweaked, although I want more specific edicts focusing on the factions themselves. And in this campaign, if you play as the Diadochi factions, you benefit of course from raisins, sacking to incentivize your gains within war. And when I played as any of the factions, every time I was besieging a city or looting or doing anything, then I benefited the most. And that's a great thing about this campaign. It's like a massive gigantic sandbox in which, sure, you have the starting pieces, how it goes around, how things play around, that is up to you to decide. We also have new missions for the 3 major players in the campaign, for the Selecuids, the Antigonids, and Ptolemy, having all their missions overhauled, and I hope that we also get specific tech trees for them. The only ones that have it right now are the Samnites, and their tech tree is quite unique, to say the least. Not every faction will play the same. So, if you're playing as Egypt, that means you have to defend the island of Cyprus from the attack by Antiginous and his son Demetrius. That, I believe, in a way is a really great way to show off scripted battles. In fact, and I would say that if you play as Egypt, you have 2 regions that you have to watch out for, Side and Cyprus. Defending Side in Asia Minor might not be the best option. Defending Cyprus is more important because that gives you the route towards the Mediterranean. If you lose that, then you lose a source of vital trade. So it remains best with Ptolemy's interest to build infrastructure in Egypt. You will need to build farms, temples, and restore public order because the Greeks are not very popular in Egypt, and he also has to build a powerful army once again with which he can attack and destroy the other successors. But Ptolemy has long-term ambitions. Ptolemy was one of Alexander's the Great generals, and therefore a Greco-Egyptian Empire might be on the cards, but you have to deal a lot in diplomacy. You have to deal with so many issues to deal with that I would want more missions for the Egyptians. I specifically also want a mission where the Egyptians have to deal with an actual native Egyptian uprising, and this event happened in history. Alongside Egypt, Egypt has a multi-ethnic army of Egyptians, Galatians, mercenaries, and more. It has the rich lands of the Niles to provide bonuses and plenty of food. It can establish a new Greco-Egyptian Empire. It has to put down revolts in Egypt, however. But political rule remains strong with Ptolemy, but this also means at the very same time that the Greeks are not that popular in Egypt as one would think. To the east, we have the mighty Selecuids, aiming to become a powerful empire in the future. Now, led by Seleucus, he was the commander of the Silver Shields of Alexander, those great veterans of Alexander's army. Now his faction is ready to fight on and take Antiginous, to take Syria and to reclaim the lands once more. Seleucus's army boasts the very best of what Alexander's army was once. He also has his silver seals, cataphracts, 3 swordsmen, skirmishers. Everything that you'd want in an army is pretty much under Seleucus. These units will give Seleucus the advantage in battle, as he watches from Babylon, coldly calculating where his next move will be. But be in no doubt, the Seleucids have long-term ambitions, even if it will come at the cost of removing anyone that is an obstacle to their power. The Seleucids are more difficult to deal with. And why is that? The capital is in Babylon and they're looking to expand and build a new Hellenistic empire. So they have to get the Persian satrapies under their control, and when I played as Seleucus, it is a difficult campaign. It's not an easy one either. So the odds are stacked against you. However, you have the experience of Alexander's veterans. And I believe if you choose the Seleucids, you can build a more powerful empire than anyone could ever imagine. So, the Seleucids are another great pick to choose from. And the other faction that is also a great pick is Antiginous, who leads a powerful army in the lands of Syria, along with his son Demetrius. And Antiginous is a very brutal but ambitious leader. So if you want to play as one of history's greatest generals that will one day establish a dynasty that will fight with the might of Rome, then Antiginous is a very good pick. And I think that itself would be a fantastic choice in my opinion. In Thrace, Lysimachus, cunning and efficient, he was the bodyguard of Alexander the Great. Now he lives with an uneasy existence with his Dacian neighbors, and he doesn't trust Antiginous either. He must consolidate his position in Thrace to expand his power and strike at the successors, whom he may think are the weakest. And when you play Lysimachus and his army, you can initially build up your power in Thrace, building up your infrastructure, building up your trade, but you have to be careful with the Dacians who also want to expand at the very same time. So, if you want to build a Thracian empire, then that itself, without any wars being fought, without people declaring war on you, you will have an easier time of wanting to build your power. And the Thracians obviously have the Peltis. Thracians have the Thracian warriors, the Peltists, everything you would want in a mountain army. Thrace has that. It's a great mix of Thracians, Greeks, Macedonians, Dacians, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a solid faction pick in my opinion. And finally, for some features that you might have missed, if you play as the Diadochi and conquer Pella, you have the option to make it your new capital for a small fee. The same goes for the Samnites and Etruscans, for if they conquer Rome, they also have the option to make it their capital for a small fee. And if you want to see what's coming in the future, there will be a lot more in it. For example, unlocking more factions in due time, such as the Etruscans, Armenia, and others. And there will be new plans on making new units for the Diadochi as well. And when you play other factions, you will see that there are reskin generals, and that slowly and steadily the mod is being added with more content. And more content means more greater things. And I have no doubt that Pontifex, the modder behind this, is doing an absolutely wonderful job. The best way that you can support this mod is to go to the Steam Workshop and download it below. If you want to know what mods I am using a lot of mods, so I will link the mod description in the box down below, and then I will point out some mods. For example, I am using the Ligvis mod, which is the build-in mod, which is absolutely fantastic. It is really immersive. I'm using the Vidici mod, that is the UI mod. I am also using Legendary HD Empires, which is absolutely recommended for a mod of this scale, and I am also using Jerula Graphics Enhancement, and at the very same time I'm also using Reshade. This is just a number of mods that I have had to use. So please don't forget to leave a like, share, comment and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next Total War Spotlight video.